Let's talk about doing magic in groups. So, in terms of doing magic with groups of people, there are several different dynamics that can happen. So, I'll try to keep a straight train of thought on this one and go through as much as I can. Maybe in the future I'll write stuff with bullets or something. But that is not this day. Memes. Anyway, so group magic in terms of like the ceremonial type where everyone has a role in creating a much bigger outcome, such as like a summoning or a something for like a sabbat or something like that. Those things can be very effective, especially if you have a high priest, high priestess. You have somebody for the role of each of the quarters, and everybody has their own specific role. That way, they can put all of their energy into that specific role. Now, one of the things about that is during their downtime, when they are not playing a part, they still need to be able to hold the energy of that space. So, if you have people at each of the four watchtowers that invoke and then hold and then dismiss the presence of the elements or whatever entities you're calling from the four corners of the space, they need to be able to hold that energy in mind while all the other ones do their roles. And what can kind of happen with this is people can get like distracted or whatever. It depends on how serious the group is, really, for one thing. And you know so like group magic should never be taken lightly. Everybody needs to understand their role and everyone else's role and be observant of everything that's going on and be respectful of everything that's going on to hold the intention of the ritual the entire time. So these things really, really need to be rehearsed. Even with like, I did stuff like gate walking with a partner. Um, you know, you have to have the same kind of goal in mind, even though in terms of gate walking, you could go somewhere in your gate walking experience and the other person can go somewhere else. But you both have to know all of like what your role is, what the scripts are, and your timing and what you're supposed to do and when, and be proficient at working with whatever your role is. So if you've never invoked like a specific direction before or something, you might want to brush up on that. Everyone should be familiar with what they're supposed to do and be able to do it proficiently, which you can practice on your own. And even it's like a play, rehearse it multiple times, just going through the motions. That way, when it's showtime, you're able to raise the energy up because you have those rote things down pat. So that's in terms of like ceremonial magic for like bigger things. So in terms of other aspects of group magic, you can also talk about if everyone, this happens in a lot of like different little circles or whatever, where like let's say that you have you know for like a sabbat ritual or whatever, a get together, you could have everybody doing the same kind of spell work activity, whether it be working with like a candle or they're all journeying or meditating or like attempting to astral project to do something. The energy of each individual person can affect everybody else. So you don't want anybody that's had a bad day, anybody that's sick, anybody that doesn't believe in exactly what's going on, because all that bad energy or that person's bad energy feeds into this giant pool. Because when you cast a circle and you make a ritual space, it's a bubble. So all of the energy that's from everybody else is in there. And, it's like being near a coworker that is just fuming nastiness. You feel it, whether they're talking to you or not, especially if they're not talking to you, because then it's just that kind of passive aggressive grumpy face. And I think you guys get the point here. But so you really got to be careful about who you work magic with. If you both have the same outcome in mind, or that's the goal of it, then you both really need to have the same understanding of the exact system that you're doing. And the outcome needs to be the same for both of you. Because, like, if you're in a partnership, let's say, and you're both aiming for something like, I don't know, trying to score a mortgage to get a house or whatever, you both have to have the same intention 100%. The same reason why you want that thing. The same visualization, the same prayer, that kind of stuff. So work on that and build those things together. That way, it's it's like if you have I'm thinking of like Bart Simpson in that episode of The Simpsons with the megaphones, right? When he lines up like 50 megaphones and he flips them all on, and then he says one word and it just blows all the glass out everywhere. You know, the reason why that was so effective was because it was the same sound coming out of all of those megaphones. And if you have one person wording something one way and another person wording something in a different way, it's two different messages. It's confusing. There's this one phrase, it's like, you gotta write a check the universe can cash. So you gotta have the same understanding. It's like when two kids are begging their parents, can we go to the amusement park? It's much more annoying and much more coercive for parents to hear those two kids both echoing the same pretty please, pretty please, pretty please, pretty please, because they're both begging, where if it's all gibberish, it's more likely to stop talking. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, this is relatively simple. I wish I could flesh this out a little bit more, I think. But group magic really has to have the same intentions, all the same respect, and everybody needs to know their role. Oh, the other thing is, assign the new guys less responsibility, because that means they're less responsible for less of the energy and the intent and stuff, and then slowly move them up the ranks as they get more and more familiar with whatever system you're in and things like that. Which is why, starting off with like quarter calls is a really good simple way to start things off, and then you can move them up the ranks to doing other things such as like the circle casting, or being representative of a deity, or whatever have you in those different ideas. So yeah, I mean, I kind of spoke really general about this because it could apply to all these different little situations. I could get like people emailing me or whatever. I'm planning a group thing and it's this specific thing. What cautions do I have? I could get more specific with that. But when it's really general, then there's just little guidelines that you kind of got to follow to make sure that the energy is not messed up that you are trying to raise, and the outcome of your spell work is going to work out because everyone has the same thing in mind. One more analogy, right? You have like 5 different people all working on a paper, and one of them gets the wrong idea of what you are trying to prove. Let's say it's a persuasive paper. And, they are assigned to work with these certain sources, and they write this one section or on this one subtopic of your entire paper. Well, if that person has a different idea, then as your professor, teacher, whatever is reading the paper, it's going to keep pushing in one direction, and then that other person's section is going to go completely somewhere else, and then it's going to go back to that original direction. That's going to confuse the reader, right? It's like changing from first person to third person perspective in a book. I'm confused. I don't know what's going on. And the universe is going to get confused too. And whatever deities or gods or entities or whatever you're petitioning are also going to get confused. You have to be worried about, not technically worried, but you get the point, about the message that you are sending and how clear it is. Yeah, there you go. So this has been a little bit of a chit chat on the precautions when doing group magic to make sure it flows smoothly. If you guys like this, you can give my video a like and stuff. You can check out any of my other videos for how to work with the Simon Necronomicon, how to learn general magic stuff, my theories on how magic works within the confines of our universe. If you are interested in reading any of my books, I have Magical Theater back there, which is on the psychology of magic, how psychology and magic interplay to create change in your life. I also have the Guide to the Spheres and Beyond, which is back up there on the shelf. Yeah. Where that book is on how to work through the Simon Necronomicon gate walking. Then I have Magical Mechanics, which is a further exploration of the theories of magic and how they function, how magic functions in the universe, with exploring science and both personal examples and any other evidence that I can cook up to prove my ideas of what the main structures, tenets, and rules of magic are. And then I also have my book, Handy Sigil Magic, which I don't have a copy of down here yet. which is my own personal way of activating sigils through bodily movement. All of those books can be found on Amazon. So, once again, thanks for watching. And you can also email me at priestthethenecro@gmail.com for any questions, comments, complaints, concerns, and issues. Good hunting.